Hey everyone, welcome back to the Noodle Life. Today, I've got some noodles from China. Look at these. These are from the Jilin province of China, that is just north of Korea. And these are potato starch noodles. You can see in the back the different components. The noodles themselves look pretty wide. Being potato starch, this will be interesting. I don't think I've had these before. The noodles themselves in the picture look pretty good. From a little reading I did, I don't think it comes with some of these components in here. Definitely not the fresh vegetables. I don't know if these are going to be spicy or not. So on the back, this is one of the most difficult noodles I've gotten so far because the instructions in English simply say, let's see, cooking instruction, steam or fried. Well, that's not right. Here are the instructions up here in Chinese, and I have no idea how to read Chinese, so I had to get this translated for me. And this is going to be an actually fairly complicated process today, so we'll walk through that as I put these noodles together. Otherwise, let's see, potato starch vermicelli noodles. The ingredient list is actually pretty small, but that's assuming that they put all the stuff that's in here on the ingredient list, because I've also found the translations or what they put here in English doesn't always correspond with what's in the package. Let's see, keep at room temperature for 6 months. That's the shelf life. Now, I don't know if this is the manufacture date or if this is the expiration date. This video is being shot well after this expiration date, so we'll see if these are still good. These have just been kept in a cool, dry place, so 6 months, we're pretty much almost past that with this. Or you can freeze them for 12 months. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I missed this. Production date, show at sealed place. So these are just about to be expired. All right. In terms of calories, we have 1,040 calories. This is 1 serving per container. And let's see here, 6,070 milligrams of sodium. It's a lot of sodium. I'll try not to drink the broth today. So let's get into this package and see what's in store for us. There are all the contents. There is a strong odor of pepper coming from in here. And if you look on the ingredient list, let's see, there is white pepper powder and Sichuan pepper powder. So that's what I'm smelling from the bag right off. Okay, so let's see. Here are our potato starch noodles. Everything on here is in Chinese, so I'm not going to be able to read any of that to you. They're pretty solid. These are all packed together. We've got, this looks like an oil pack. This is going to be our soup-based seasoning. And let's see. I have no idea what this is. I'm going to assume this is a dry seasoning. And then this is the soup base. So yeah, we'll see once we get this stuff opened up. There's no indication on here as to what this is. The other item that I am doing today is I'm actually going to add something to the soup. So these are beach mushrooms, and I'm gonna throw these in while I'm making the soup, just to add a little bit more substance to the soup itself rather than just having the straight noodles, since there isn't any sort of a vegetable pack or additional accessories that go in with this soup today. Okay, so this is normally where I'd say let's start cooking the noodles, but there is a step we have to do before we can actually cook these noodles and put them in a pot. So let's move this stuff out of the way. grab a bowl of cool room temperature water. Now let's see, get these noodles opened. Nice hiss from the packaging. These are pretty well vacuum sealed. Ooh, these are very rubbery. They look like dried noodles, but these are like strips of rubber. That's kind of interesting. And try to be a little bit gentle with these because they seem, let's see, seems like, no, they're pretty, look at that. They're coming apart a little bit, but like I said, they're almost like little rubber bands. Okay. All right, so the first step of the instructions, this whole part here, is to soak them in cool water, kind of clean them a bit, and separate the noodles. These aren't stuck together as much as I thought they would be. I thought this was going to be a little bit more of a process. It's interesting to get noodles like this in a almost what you would consider like an instant noodle pack. It's always fun opening these and seeing what's in store, how to cook them. Like I said, with some of these, especially on the Chinese noodles, you don't always get the best or any instructions because just steam or fried, you'd never know that these needed to be rinsed off and separated. And actually the noodles aren't steamed or fried, they're actually boiled according to the instructions. Okay, I think we're about done. A couple of these are still sticking together, but I think we're good. Okay, I'm going to strain those and then we will throw everything into the pot and get it started. The first step of this is just to add 500 milliliters of cold water. Next, we're going to add our drained noodles to the pot. Now, turn the heat on high, bring this to a boil. I noticed that as these noodles started to go into the water that they were sticking, some of them were sticking along the sides of the pot, so I'm gonna have to pay close attention to these to make sure they don't stick to the bottom or the sides any more than they already have. Seems like they're coming along nicely though. Water is starting to come to a boil. The instructions say to, once the water comes to a boil, turn it down to low. Actually, I may want to turn it down a little bit more than that. Okay, now we're going to add our mushrooms. Put those in there. Let's get those into the water. I really love these beach mushrooms. I picked these up when I picked up the noodles because I thought these would be the perfect complement to this soup. Next, I'm going to put it in the mystery pack. I don't know, what do you guys think this is? I'm going to go with the dry seasoning. Let's see. Little tear tabs on this. Yep, dry seasoning. Let's give it a little taste before I put it in. Oh, that is just like pure MSG and salt with a little bit of flavor to it. Flavor is kind of undistinguishable. Just kind of a general savory flavor. Mix that through. Okay. Next is the seasoning packet. I'm going to actually cut this one open. taste of this on my finger. Curious if it's spicy or not. Well, it's going to be a big taste, but let's give it a shot. That is not what I was expecting. I do not know how to describe that. It almost tastes like a very mild hot pot soup base. A little spicy, very savory. You can taste the Sichuan pepper coming through in this one. And it almost tastes like it has a kind of a meat base to it. It's hard to describe. Okay, let me stir this in the soup. You can see all of the chili flakes and what I'm assuming would be ground peppercorn. And finally, we have our oil pack. Let's see if this is just straight oil or if it's flavored at all. That almost tastes like a lemon oil. There's a kind of bitter citrus flavor to this. That is different. It actually does not taste good on its own. So I would say if you get this, don't try the oil, just put it right in the soup. Now that everything's been added, the instructions tell us to continue to cook the soup for another 2 to 5 minutes until the noodles are ready to taste. I'm actually going to try one right now. This is going to be a good soup. The noodle isn't quite done yet. It's still chewy, but one thing I noticed is that oil. I'm wondering if the flavor I'm tasting in the oil is from the Sichuan pepper, because that oil is very numbing. Sichuan peppers, if you eat them on your own, they will numb your tongue or your mouth. If you have a lot of them, your lips will start to go numb, and it's a very interesting experience. Now that said, the oil on this, now that I'm thinking about it, actually tastes like the fresh Sichuan peppers that you might buy in China. These taste like the fresh green ones, were somehow ground or cooked into that oil. Okay, the noodles are done. Look at those. Has a nice red color to them. The noodles themselves have plumped up quite a bit, and the soup base, I think from all the potato starch, has turned into a very thick liquid. So let's give this a taste. This is very savory, almost like a beef broth. There's a little bit of, I would say, medium spice on this. It's not going to burn you, but you can feel it on the tongue. Let me try this again. The one flavor that is coming through above all else are those Sichuan peppers from that oil I poured in there. This is making that soup, it gives it a little bit of a bitter flavor to contrast with the beef or meat flavor that I'm tasting. And it has a very nice balance. So let me try, before I get into the noodles, let me try one of the beach mushrooms. Well, that is good. One of the reasons I thought to go with beach mushrooms, or any mushrooms in general, is because mushrooms typically do a good job of soaking up the flavor of whatever they're in, and these are no exception. So these are good in pretty much any soup, but especially good in this because of the kind of very savory broth that's in here. All right, I can't wait any longer. You gotta have some of these noodles. They are a bit slippery. Look at those. Oh man, those are gonna be good. They're holding on to all of that sauce, so this is gonna be a delicious bite. These noodles are so thick, they're slightly chewy, And the thickness is actually accentuated by the fact that all this potato starch has turned this soup base into kind of like a gravy. So let's get a whole nother little bite here. It took a little bit too much the first time. All right. I feel like I'm almost eating noodles and gravy. You have to be careful with these. If you take a big hunk of them, you're going to be chewing for quite a while. Mushrooms are fantastic. If you wanted to, you could also cook some green vegetables into this. I prefer to keep my soups a little bit more simple, just going with the mushrooms. But one thing I am starting to notice is that Szechuan pepper, the numbing flavor, is really starting to come through. The whole right side of my tongue right now has gone numb, which if you've never had it before, I highly suggest trying it. It is delicious. It's not spicy or hot. It's actually numbing. So it's the opposite of spicy. It is one of the flavors I really love in Chinese cuisine. The noodle with that mushroom is the perfect balance with a little bit of crunch from the mushroom and then the chewiness from the noodles. Okay, let me finish these noodles off and then I'll give you my final verdict. Okay, as you can see, I finished my bowl of noodles. Oh, I missed a mushroom. Completely unacceptable, excuse me. Mushroom got a little soggy, but aside from that, these noodles were fantastic. This is the perfect type of noodle to have on a really cold day. Have these, if you have someone to share them with, I highly recommend it. Maybe have some sort of a side dish to go with these, because I am starting to feel like I'm gonna burst from all of these noodles, especially these kind, because these are the kind of noodles that after you eat them, you get them in your stomach and it feels like they continue to expand over time. So either be very hungry or have someone to share these with before you try to tackle this bowl of noodles. Otherwise, I loved everything about these noodles. The Szechuan pepper flavor, the savoriness of the soup seasoning, the noodles themselves, all of it were fantastic. And these noodles are definitely going on my list of ones to look out for anytime I'm in the store or even online. So these are potato starch noodles, and I picked them up at the store for $2.59. My nickname for these is going to be Chinese Noodles and Gravy. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have some noodles that I should try, I'd love to hear about them. Put them down in the comments below. And if I can find these online or any of the other things that I'm using, I will link to those in the description. Anyway, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time on The Noodle Life. Bye.